Hello and welcome to this edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Edwin Atkinson. There are plenty ways you could choose to spend today, and we're happy you chose to spend it with us. We have a wonderful lineup just for you, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this message.
One of the problems that occurred in the past was the significant delay in the issuing of warrants for persons who did not pay at the tax office and did not attend the court. And so what happened there was that a culture of impunity had developed, where persons felt that when they received a ticket from the police, they could simply ignore it. So where we are now is that we are now current with the issuing of warrants in respect of the current cases. So what that means is that for persons who do not pay at the tax office, don't attend the court, the warrants are being issued and will be issued, and you will be arrested and brought before the court. If you do not wish to come to court, then go to the tax office. Also, you have the option of contesting it, so you don't pay at the tax office, but you must turn up at court on the date and time stated in the summons. Failing that, a warrant will be issued and you will be brought before the court.
Earlier this year, Prime Minister Andrew Holness allocated $1 billion for the development and production of local films. Today, Shalette Cox, the president of JAMPRO, is sitting down with Theodore to discuss the Jamaica Screen Development Initiative. Through this program, creators within the industry will be able to see their productions come to life. Let's learn more.
Welcome to Get the Facts, the discussion program that provides you with information on government's policies and initiatives. I'm Theodore Henry. If you're enthused about Jamaican-made movies with a global appeal, interested in making these movies, and are looking to tap into the commercial opportunities in film entertainment marketing, then this program is for you. Today we're getting the facts about the Jamaica Screen Development Initiative, JSDI, which offers a $1 billion pool of funds from which locally made screen productions can receive financial support. It's being managed by the Jamaica Promotions Corporation, JAMPRO, an agency of the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, and home of Jamaica's Film Commission. Here to tell us more about this initiative is the president of JAMPRO, Shalette Cox. Welcome to the program, Ms. Cox.
Good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Let's jump right into getting the facts. Now, I've heard it called Jollywood. The Jamaican film space. But I'd like you to begin by helping us to get an understanding of what does the Jamaican film space look like today?
So the Jamaican film industry is very diverse today, and Jamaica has actually had a film commission for now around 40 years. We've been facilitating films through JAMPRO and its predecessor agencies. Okay. A lot of people right now are very aware of the Bob Marley One Love film.
Right, yeah.
And the year before that, we did the James Bond 25 movie, which was their 25th in their franchise. And over the years, we've done a number of feature films. Okay. But what a lot of people don't know is that we have about 120 productions that happen every year. And these are varying sizes. There could be features, there could be short films, there could be documentaries, different kinds of structures. Animation doesn't even come into that number.
We're talking Jamaican-based.
Jamaican-based. Some of it, so we have two different segments of the film industry. The first one we call local content development. Okay. And that's when Jamaican people make Jamaican stories or stories that are written by Jamaicans. Okay. And then we have destination films. People wanting to locate their production or their film in Jamaica. Okay. And so we at JAMPRO facilitate both kinds of that. And if we look at the numbers, we've been having a good run since COVID, and globally, we have seen a big recovery since COVID. So in 2021, globally, there was an increase of around 10%. And in 2022 was 5%. And in 2022, the global value of the industry was $2.3 trillion. Yes.
I thought you were going to say billion.
No.
And then you went trillion.
Trillion dollars. So that's the scope of what we're talking about. And what we want to do with this initiative is to carve out our piece of that pie by creating more local content and attracting more destination films. And it's a cycle, because what it means is that the more these films come to Jamaica, the more Jamaican films get made, the more our industry grows from the experiences that it has. Because then we can create more quality stories, and when we have a better reputation so that we can land distribution. So, because ultimately, everybody wants a global distribution for their stories, right? They want to see it on Netflix or Hulu or Amazon or wherever. And so that's the ultimate goal for us. We see film and animation. So that's exactly why it's called the Screen Development Initiative. It's both film and animation. Ultimately, we see it as an export product, a service that Jamaica can provide to the world. And that's why we have this fund.
It's fascinating. In what you just shared with us, we're seeing the joy of the art, telling the stories, but you've also underlined very heavily an economic element to all of this. And I want to talk about the funding itself for the JSDI. You said trillion, and I thought, hey, 1 billion is a lot, but you said trillion industry.
And I said US dollars.
You said, oh, look at that. Now, okay, so we have this $1 billion, and it was officially launched in January 31 this year. Now, what barriers or gaps was the JSDI designed to fill or overcome?
So as you're aware, anybody that has ever interacted with our financial system knows that we require collateral to get access to money.
Yeah, we do.
And when it comes to industries such as screen-based industries, the fact that collateral is not the easiest thing, because we're talking about intellectual property, is one of the biggest challenges that they have. The other challenge they have is that we don't have real incentives for the industry. If you want to become a farmer, Ministry of Agriculture has a set of incentives for you to bring in new equipment. If you want to build a hotel, similar with Ministry of Tourism. But in this industry, there are no incentives. And so there is no source of financing for the projects to be created. And so we have had a long journey in the Film Commission and in JAMPRO to try and show the different powers that be that this is an industry worth looking at. Because, and we're very, very happy that we were able to, I think at the very right time, get the Paramount's interest to do the Bob Marley film. Because we were able, in the last couple of months, to show very clearly what the popularity of a well-made, commercially viable film can do for the country.
Just one film. It caused such a buzz. So many people came in for it.
And I spoke, I think, when we launched on the 31st of January, it was a week after we had done the opening here in Jamaica. And we were seeing millions of dollars in just value, PR value, from the opening that was done in Jamaica. So I'm actually excited in another few months to start collating the numbers and trying to show the government the impact that it has had. Because it means that if we are able to fund similar quality, then we can do so much more for the industry.
So if I can jump in here then. So we're saying one of the biggest things for JSDI is providing incentive. Okay. Now, I understand that calls for application open March 18. When did they close?
All right, so we have 6 categories that we're supporting. And we tried to define the categories along the lines of the progress of a film. So we have development, we have production, we have completion, we have film festival and market attendance, and we have marketing and distribution. All of that is along the lines of local content, that segment. And then we have a production rebate for destination films. Those are now films coming into Jamaica. So for development, production, and post-production, those applications end on April 28th.
Underline that, April 28th.
April 28th, for just those 3 categories. For the other 3 categories, we're taking rolling applications. So as you can imagine, for a film festival, if somebody gets accepted in a film festival in September,
right,
we don't want to tell them that we can't support them because we spent all of the money in April.
Right, right.
So we've reserved funds for those 3 categories to make sure that if somebody comes to us and they meet the criteria that we're looking for,
yes,
that we will have as best as possible funds to support them.
Ah, I got you. I got it. There's so much more that we need to ask. There is so much more. And I need you to stick with us. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Ms. Cox will share more about the eligibility requirements for individuals, companies, and projects. And we'll talk about a few other things. Stay with us.
We are hoping that the time will come to be able to track these cards.
Hello, the house are burned down.
And punish those who are doing this.
All too frequently, a unit is unavailable for an actual fire emergency, merely because it is responding to a false alarm.
And it results in most instances to a waste of resources that could be used for more productive purposes. So we want to encourage members of the public to desist from this practice.
Welcome back to Get the Facts. We're continuing our conversation with the president of JAMPRO, Shillette Cox, discussing the Jamaica Screen Development Initiative, JSDI. Lady Cox, who is eligible?
All right, so we have 2 types of eligibility. On one side, in terms of applicants, you can be an individual or a company.
Okay.
But it has to be Jamaican. So the person has to be Jamaican, whether it's Jamaican by citizen, birth, or naturalization. The company has to be 51% owned by a Jamaican. After that, you have to be registered with the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sports as a part of their entertainment registry.
Right.
You have to be tax compliant at the time that we sign a contract for the funding.
Okay.
You have to be able to show that you have access to the rights of whatever it is that you're filming or producing in terms of that intellectual property.
Okay.
If you're an individual, you also have to be over 18. So from an individual and company perspective, that's it.
Okay.
On the product side, we have certain things that we will not be funding. So we won't be funding music videos, we won't be funding television news or sports or dailies. Reality content is allowed, but not content that is influencer content or podcasts or things like that. If you film a theater production, that is not allowed.
Okay.
What is allowed is every single genre of movies or documentaries or any kind of film or animation. And we have some time limits that we put around that just because we want to make sure, again, that commercial viability is strong. Right. We also, as I mentioned, unscripted content is allowed. And then, of course, we want to encourage the creation of short films so that those can become longer films. So short films are also allowed.
And I'm understanding that the grant allowance and the loan allowance, they differ. So it really comes down to what you need. Right?
All right. So we have, for each of the 6 categories that I mentioned before, for the development, there's a loan and a grant. And there is a cap on both sides. The cap could be based on a dollar amount or a percentage of your budget. So whichever one is the lower figure is what we will fund. Because we want to make sure that you have some skin in the game as well, right?
Of course.
But when so the grants, the development and the production has the grant and the loan element. For completion, it's just a grant. Film festival, just a grant. Marketing and distribution, it is a loan only.
Okay.
And then the production rebate is a rebate. So you have to spend the money first, then we have to audit your financials, and then we give you back 10% up to a maximum of 1.5 million.
And I think this one is really important for us to underline. We're not applying for a grant or a loan to fund part of a project. There must be a completed product at the end of what you give.
So each of these are phases. So we're going to have very rigid performance metrics to say that if the development phase is what we're funding, and what you are going to do with that money is to write a script, at the end of that process, we must have a script. If you're funding production, at the end of it, we must have film content or animated content. At the end of completion, we must have, so each one is a different outcome, and that will be in the contract that is signed with JAMPRO at the end of the evaluation process and before any disbursements can begin.
Okay, okay. Now, we only have so much time on this interview, but we know that, or you will tell us, that we can find all this information on that on the website, dobusinessjamaica.com. All right.
So just go to dobusinessjamaica.com, search for JSDI, and you will see all the information there. There's a link to the full operational guidelines, but we have pulled out all of the main points to make it easy to read. And the application form is also accessible from that website. So you go straight into the application form. It's very simple. What we've done is we have a list of, in the operational guidelines, we have a list of all the documents that are required, whether they're mandatory by category or optional. So when you go to the application form, if you click development, it gives you the list of mandatory documents. So you can't go wrong. You must be submitting all the documents. And there is also an option that if you want to give us more than what we ask for, because you want your application to have the best chance, you can give us the optional documents as well. And once we get that, when the 28th of April comes, we're going to do our validation checks, make sure that you meet the basic criteria, and then we have a set of evaluators, both local and international, and carefully picked to make sure that there's no conflict of interest. Nobody will be, you see somebody out there with the story that you wrote about. We're going to be very careful about that process, but those evaluators now will evaluate your submission to make sure that we're looking for 4 things. We're looking to make sure that you have the ability to do what you said you're going to do, that the product that you have put forward makes sense, that it's commercially viable, and that it will have a potential positive impact on Jamaica's economy.
On Jamaica's economy, and that stands alongside everything you said about TCCs and IP and intellectual property. I need to hurry along, but this is so fascinating. Can I resubmit one, and also can I submit more than one?
You can definitely submit more than one. So you can do a couple of things, and there's a section in the operational guidelines that talks about multiple applications. If you are going to move very quickly, you can apply for production and post-production at the same time. You can apply for the grant and the loan at the same time. Or you can have multiple applications for similar, for different projects at the same category level. So any kind of combination. In terms of resubmitting, yes, we do allow resubmitting if the application has changed substantially. Now, if you wait until April 28th, it means that you're going to have to wait on another call in order to resubmit.
So validation isn't an April 28th thing. It's on submission?
It's on submission.
Well, that's good.
So because we've been getting a number of applications already, we got the first application on March 18th. And so we realized it would be good to give people, you know, the opportunity, if they submit early, to say, all right, this was missing, missing, and give them the opportunity to submit.
Awesome, awesome. So we're near the end of this Get the Facts discussion, but I want to get this one out too. Tell us about the support now possible, or, you know, available to people who applies.
So we have a clarification form that is on the website as well. So any question that you have about the process or any challenge that you have, we have a commitment to respond in 1 business day. Then we are working very closely with JAFTA, the Jamaican Association for Film and Television, JAN, which is the Animation Network, the Women in Film and Television Jamaica. We're working very closely with them. We've done a couple of sessions with their membership, and they are doing sessions with their membership as well, because it's a true public-private partnership in how this was developed and how it's going to be executed. So there's a lot of hand-holding that are available through those channels, and through the clarification form, JAMPRO will respond and help as best as possible as well.
I'm trying to squeeze so much into these last few seconds. People who apply, can they work together, even though they've done separate applications?
They can. can. As a matter of fact, a part of the application requires you to tell us who your creative team is. So my creative team, if I'm a writer, might be the same for people as you over there as a producer. You have an application, it's the same creative team, but a different application. That's up to you.
So co-production is a thing. It works. All right, we're in the last final seconds. The people who are going to apply and who have applied already, they're watching. Give them a final word.
What I want to say to every filmmaker, every aspiring filmmaker, animator, the government of Jamaica has given its commitment for this $1 billion. This is an opportunity for you to tap into your creative skills, and one not to be missed, for you to realize your dreams and help Jamaica become a creative hub, not just of the Caribbean, but of the world. And
on that note, remember to visit the website dobusinessjamaica.com for more information. This has been Get the Facts. Our guest has been Shalette Cox, president of the Jamaica Promotions Corporation, JAMPRO. Thank you for watching, and until next time, I'm Theodore Henry. Take good care.
Are you protected? We're speaking about consumers and their access to information that is not only safe, but it's accurate, and it can be trusted. We're talking about data protection, e-commerce, online banking, and online fraud. The question is whether or not you can trust it. You're thinking about identity theft. You're thinking about where your documents are stored, and whether or not this can also impact you from a credit perspective. You are to get one free credit report each year. Do not waste that resource. Look at it, see how you can address whatever issues it might be pointing to, whether or not it is true, yea or nay. Ask questions and seek assistance whenever possible. Do not be afraid. Ask the questions. If you are unsure, sometimes we're doing something and we get a little gut feeling and you want to draw back. Draw back. Do some more investigation to see whether or not this is something that you want to undertake, or whether or not it will affect you in a negative light.
Do you know where all those dance moves you're doing originated from? No? Not to worry. It's Sunday, but history class is in session. Watch now for a look at the renaissance of Jamaica's music and dance moves.
Chick, chick, chick.
The lady G's, the lady saws.
Rude is in court now, boys.
Scratch Perry and King Tubby, what they did, and that is influencing modern music production today.
The torso is tilted forward, the arms are going up and down.
The original sound system owners, Tom the Great Sebastian, Thomas Wong.
If you look at stuff like, Sata Masagana, people love the song and love the rhythm.
This is a story about Jamaica, but more so its unique soundtrack and exceptional tunes. A story about the beats that keep the feet, hips, arms, hearts, and souls of Jamaicans moving.
Modern Jamaican music can trace its origin to the sound system. Now, the sound system can trace its roots to Tom Wong, the man who had the sound system called Tom the Great Sebastian. After that, people like Arthur Duke Reid and Clement Sir Coxsone Dodd decided that they were making their entry into the sound system business. The mood in America, where they were getting the music from, shifted, and the sound system operators decided that they needed to find a way of getting exclusive music, and one of the ways they thought they could do so was to create their own, and that's how ska was born. The anthem for that period, for me, would be Derek Morgan's Forward March.
Together be brothers and sisters, we're independent. 1962 on the 6th of August, when them was going to have this celebration of Jamaica independent, I was the one on a truck back, and I sing Forward March on that.
There was a close relationship between music and dance. So in ska, the torso is tilted forward. Now there was the options of the arm going up and down, side to side, forward and back. But the overall shape of the movement was very low.
By 1966, ska had made way for rocksteady.
Land of the black, gold, and green. I guess the musicians decided that they want to slow it down a little bit, that people can more relax, you know, in the dancing and thing. So here comes the rocksteady moment.
It was definitely a less exuberant type of music. And some people say that that is reflective of the fact that people were coming to terms with what the Independence Project meant, and they were not as confident as they were a few years before.
No, no, no! So the movement was always coming back to center because you are taking control of your space. So it is an undisturbed, cool, the rude boy thing.
It was soon the late 1960s, and what continued as a demonstration of our ingenuity and innovation, as well as a reflection of our souls as Jamaicans, was the evolution of rocksteady to reggae.
Sold died to the merchant ships.
So reggae comes along at a point when Jamaica is now mature in the development of indigenous music. And reggae becomes message music influenced by Rastafari's ideological positioning.
This is why the Bob Marley is so successful, the Burning Spears and a whole lot of people, because the message of the music resonated internationally with the struggles of poorer people.
When we got into the reggae era, we got a lot more of the movement that we would find at the Bobo camps, at the Nyabingi 12 Tribe sessions, a lot of swing, the head nods, and a lot more of that religious reverence.
At the turn of the late 1970s, a new beat was formed, one that would share the stage with reggae.
And me, she want, you know, see how me cute. So the dancehall was a space, and then it moved to become a genre. So then everybody, women and men, dance close together and dance and rub-a-dub.
Dancehall, of course, completely in an ethnomusicological context, different because you're getting staccato rhythms now, a faster paced beat. But dancehall emerges as Jamaica's premier street theatre.
Dancehall and the rise and the growth of dancehall music came about when Steely and Clevie came on the scene and started digitizing the music.
Right along with that came the movements, of course. Bogle dance, created by Gerald Bogle-Levy in 1992. You had World Dance, which followed up, and so many others. We went on to see the Butterfly, the Tatty, the Prang, a host of dancehall movements. Dance doesn't operate in a vacuum, so it's intrinsically linked to music.
But no musical genre developed after the 1960s isn't influenced by Jamaican music.
We've come to the end of today's show. To catch a repeat of this or any other, feel free to log on to our website, jis.gov.jm. Until next time, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.